So I was getting cold. I was standing on the beach of Angel Island with the cold wind and rain whipping down on my bare skin. And I could feel its chill taking the energy away from me. And I looked out onto the horizon and I looked at San Francisco from that beach, and I really asked myself the question, can I do this? Can I actually make this swim and cross from Angel Island to San Francisco? It's something 5 months ago I hadn't even thought about. And then all of a sudden, it just started to hit me. I was living in my comfort zone, and I was getting bored and tired. And I needed to do something to break out. And I love the water, and I'm in a community of people that were doing massive swims. And I thought, this is my shot, I'm gonna give it a try. So I trained, and I took that time and I really set up goals, and I hit every one of my benchmarks. I was feeling strong, confident, and ready to go. There was no question I was gonna finish this swim. And then 5 days before the event, I got a cold and fever. So now I'm sitting there saying it's 4 days behind the event. It's 3 days. Am I actually swimming this? Is this going to really happen? I started to turn the corner and finally felt good enough to swim, but I wasn't 100%, and the doubt was creeping in. The swim from Angel Island to Aquatic Park is about 4.5 miles. It takes you around the east side of Alcatraz, and then you have to thread the needle into Aquatic Park Cove, where there's a small opening to get to the beach. In the meantime, we start the swim, and the currents are coming out of Sausalito, heading east towards the Bay Bridge. They switch midway through, and the game is not to get pushed too far in any one direction. The water temperature was 59 degrees, which was 4 degrees cooler than I had started my training swims in. So I looked up, and I looked at that view that you saw on the slide before, and I took a breath, and I heard the sound of the horn that started the swim, and I jumped in the water. So as I got in the water, it wasn't good. This whole idea that I'm gonna go out there and conquer it, it all broke down. I was cold. It was colder than I remembered. My body didn't feel good. I didn't feel like my stroke was right. I just couldn't get my rhythm. And then the next thing I know, I started feeling sick. And I wondered, did I make a mistake? Should I have never gotten in the first place? Will my body actually do this? So my mind started wandering. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, maybe it was not the right thing. What happens? Am I gonna go hypothermic? And the brain starts spinning. So I took a moment and I quieted myself and I thought, okay, I've got kayaker next to me. We've got full boat support. I've trained. I try to focus on what I knew I did. And then all of a sudden, out of the depths of me, and I don't know where this came from, I heard a voice that said, shut up and swim. So I did. And I started to get my rhythm. And I focused on not the goal of completing, but I focused on every step I needed to do to make it happen. The feeling of the water under my hands, the feeling of floating with the water, that it was accepting me, that it wanted me to do this. I saw people that I had trained with. I thought about everyone that I grabbed and said, hey, let's go swim together. Let's go train, let's go do something. I thought of my friends, my family, my wife, all the people that believed in me. People in this community that were holding this swim in prayer. And every bit of it gave me energy. And I started to feel like I was getting warmer. And the next thing you know, I was going. I was feeling okay. But this was a long swim. And by the time I got to Alcatraz, which is the 2/3 mark, I was ready to be done. I was exhausted. The currents were really strong. And Alcatraz just kept looking bigger and bigger and bigger, but it never quite came. I just couldn't seem to reach it. And there was that voice again, shut up and swim. So I kept going, and eventually I hit the east side of Alcatraz and made the corner. And at that point, all the feeling of sickness, all the feeling of doubt completely went away. I knew Alcatraz. I've done this swim before. It's not that hard. I can make it happen. So I blasted off with a new rush of enthusiasm. Everything in my stroke was just going great. I was ready. I can feel myself starting to increase my pace and head towards Aquatic Park. I had my eye on the prize and I knew I was getting there. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I was sitting about 100 feet outside of the Aquatic Park entrance, and I could not make it through the opening. The tide was coming from the east so strong that I was swimming in place. So I tried to swim harder. I sprinted. I said, I'm going to give it everything I got. So I did, and I barely moved. So my mind starts going again. Is this going to be it? Am I going to be pulled 100 feet from where I need to be for the easy part? Absolutely not. And there was that voice again. Shut up and swim. So I changed my angle, and instead of going to the opening, I actually went towards the pier. It was a little bit different cut on the current, and I was able to make progress, get close enough to the pier to sneak in the opening. I took a moment and took a breath and allowed myself to rest because it was hard. And then I slowly glided my way back in with easy strokes back to the beach where I finished. I got out of the water and it was like an otherworldly experience. It wasn't the party I had imagined in my head in the celebration. It was just this feeling of exhaustion, pain, and an inner knowing that I did it. I went further than I truly believed I was able to do. I broke my glass ceiling of what was possible, and I was ready to celebrate. So what are these things we call glass ceilings? What are these barriers that we have? And how do we be successful? Well, most people think, before we go to that, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Why take a chance? Why risk? Well, the thing is when we're outside of our comfort zone, it's where we come alive. We're forced to mobilize the life force within us and really put it to the test. It's one thing dreaming the dream. It's one thing knowing in your mind, I'm a divine creature, I can make anything happen, it's all possible. It's another thing actually having the physical experience of living it. So Neil Donald Walsh says life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And really the alternative is to just go on autopilot. It's like driving a car. We're not even thinking about it anymore. It's just kind of happening and it gets kind of boring. So let's get back to this idea of success. Most people think the path to success is a straight line. You work hard, you keep going, you make incremental steps, and you go up, 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 up. But anybody out in the field that has something to risk, and I don't care whether you're trying to be successful as a parent, as an artist, as a business person, it doesn't matter, knows it really looks like this. There's all these twists and turns and crazy things that happen in the middle. It's chaotic. You're going in completely the wrong direction, it seems, but you're not. There's another path that you're going through. And people on the outside, they see success like this. They just see the accomplishment. Just, wow, you did it. That's amazing. So good for you. But what they don't necessarily see is everything it took to get there. That it wasn't all guts and glory. That there was a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of disappointment along the way. So how do we take that experience of persistence, failure, disappointment, hard work, how do we take that and translate that into success? Sometimes it seems like there's this glass ceiling in the middle of it, right? I can reach it, I can touch it, I can taste it, but somehow something keeps knocking me off. Something keeps bringing me down. What is that thing that happens? Well, in a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, he actually starts exploring that question. He calls it the upper limit. We call it the glass ceiling here because a glass ceiling has a lot of connotations. Number one, it's glass. You can see through it. You can see the other side. The second thing is it's invisible, so you don't really know it's there. You hit it, but you don't know what you hit. And the third thing is it's breakable. It's breakable. So this is something you can get through. So Gay talks about a few different things. And the first one is belief you are not enough to achieve your success, right? This idea that I'm not enough. Well, how does that play out? Well, you may feel like you're enough when you're in your comfort zone. You're doing what you know. You're good at it. You feel confident and strong. You got that sense of, yeah, I got this. But now try to do it in a bigger arena, right? It's like, I'm good having a one-on-one conversation with Reverend Ken, but now let me talk to 50 people at a live stream, right? It's a little bigger. And it brings up these ideas of what you believe you can achieve. Now, you may not even know this is operating in the background. It's often hidden, but it may be present. The second is belief somehow betrays your roots. Now, a great example of this one is there was a movie that came out called The Jazz Singer. And Al Jolson plays a son of a Hebrew cantor. And the cantor is the man or the woman now who sings the prayers in synagogue. And Al just wanted to sing jazz. And his father said, "You are dead to me." In order for Al to do this, he ran away from home and had to dismiss his whole family. This was a huge conflict, and he only was getting so far. It was only when he reconciled this idea of betraying his roots, and his mother looked at him and saw, oh my gosh, you're singing jazz, but you're singing with the Spirit of God, that he was able to soar to the heights that he actually was able to go. This may be happening for some of us behind the scenes. Believe if you shine too brightly, someone else will look bad, right? If all the attention's on me, well, it's going to be robbed from you or you or you, right? That would be selfish. I can't do that. So if you somehow believe that, it's an invitation to hold back unconsciously. And last is belief that your success makes you more of a burden to others. Because if you're successful, it's going to make people uncomfortable. They don't know how to deal with you. Right? Oh, he's a success. How do I deal with him now? Right? Or the other side of this is the price that I have to pay for my success is going to make me more of a burden to my family. Right? I'm swimming 4 days a week. I'm spending 2 hours in the water. I'm tired. I have to sleep. This is an effect my wife had to live with through that entire 4 months. So the belief that was happening, I found myself checking in with her, like, is it okay, is it okay, is it okay? Right? And she was okay with it, but see, that belief was holding me back. I wasn't going for it for real because I was afraid it was going to hurt her. So how do we know we hit the glass ceiling if we can't see it, or if these are happening behind the scenes? Well, the two biggest ones are anger and frustration. Right? You're going after something and it doesn't happen and you've tried a few times and it's just, damn, right? I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. It's enough. And you may not even be frustrated with your goal anymore. You just may be frustrated in general. I know that happens to me. When I'm running around with this idea, like, usually I'm at my upper limit, I'm at my glass ceiling, and I just haven't done what I need to do to make it through. The last one here is reticence. And with reticence is we've resigned ourselves to the fact that it's not going to happen. So that one looks like, oh, I tried that and it just didn't work out. Reverend Ken's really good at that, but I tried it and I just really wasn't good. I've resigned myself to that fact. And again, these are things that happen. We may not even be aware that it's going on. So what are the things that are obvious? Gay Hendricks, again, offers a few. One is worry. Especially worry when there's nothing you can control, right? So you're worried about, like last night in the middle of the night, I woke up. It was 3 a.m, and I had this piece of the talk that all of a sudden hit me that was wrong. So the worry started to spin. Well, wait a second, what if I forget my place? What if I forget everything when I'm up there? What if I just go blank? Right? These are worries. I was certainly at my upper limit. There was that glass ceiling right there. The second one is blame and criticism, right? The other person's wrong. I was going for that promotion, but it was that other guy that swooped in and got it. Oh, the boss he's really not the best boss. He just didn't see my value. Or put it on myself. Geez, if I was smarter, it would have happened. If I tried harder, it would have happened. I know I could have did it, but I didn't try hard enough. I was bad. Right? These are the things that we catch these behaviors because it lets you know when you're at that limit. And the last one is arguing. How many of you have ever found you start finding yourself picking a fight for no reason at all? Well, you're in the fight and you forget why you're even fighting. You just know you had to in the moment, right? Again, these are the clues. You are wrestling with something bigger. You are up against that ceiling and you just haven't found the way through. Last one is getting sick or hurt. 5 days before my swim, and I'm sick with fever. Did I choose that consciously? No, but something was at work, and my body was trying to do everything it can. All of these are invitations to quit. These are invitations to go back to those little squiggly spirals that we saw in that diagram and not go through to the other side, but stop and just finish it off. So how do we actually shatter it? What's the steps through? So I found there's a few things that really seem to work for me. The first one is to tie everything that you're doing related to your goal to a higher purpose. And this is how it worked for me during my swim. The swim wasn't about the swim. It really wasn't about whether I made it or not, or that I did that particular swim. It was about overcoming every single obstacle and every single opportunity that I had to quit and showing myself I was more capable than I actually believed I was. It was about saying that I really want to go bigger, not just in swimming, but in my life. And that I used the swim as a practice ground. It was a chance to practice that idea of facing all of these things and breaking through and going forward. For some people, it's their families. It's their communities, or maybe even the world or the planet. But when it's about more than just you and the rote goal, you take it on a whole other dimension. The second is context and faith. And with context and faith, what I mean by context is the framework that you use to decide what the meaning is to the events around you. So I can have a context that the world is dangerous. It's not safe to experiment, and that if I risk too much, I'm going to get hurt. Now, if I have that context, do you think I'm going to take many risks? No, why would I? But if I have a context that the world is safe, this is a divine paradise where we are okay and safe to express ourselves, to learn, to grow, to risk, then I'm going to be more apt to take those chances. So how you view the world is important. And faith is what fuels your context, because sometimes you have to hold your context when there's absolutely no evidence that it's true. Oops, wrong one. Fail powerfully and effectively. Because you're going to fail. Because there's this misnomer that there are two ends of the spectrum, success and failure, winners and losers. Right? That's how we equate it. But the truth is that failure is part of the success process. You cannot succeed without failing. It is impossible. And if you did it, you probably didn't go big enough to find out what really was possible. So use your failures as learning experiences. Go full out, course correct on every experience, and use it to your advantage. And last but not least, do it anyway. Whatever you're feeling, whatever's happening, whether you're upset, whether you're scared, whether you're doubtful, whether you're panicking, it doesn't matter. Shut up and swim. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. And this is your path to make this happen. We are incredible individuals capable of so many things. People from the humblest beginnings have changed the very face of reality. Each one of us has that possibility in us, and it's really time to step up and see what's possible. We truly do not know what's possible until we've actually tried. So I invite you all to try. Go after desire, stick with it, and shatter your glass ceiling. Let's take that into our time of meditation.